All right, welcome back to the TWU Local 591 podcast. My name is Gary Scheible, your local president. This is our weekly membership video update podcast. So joining me today is your administrative executive board member, Russ Dittmer. Russ, you want to handle the benefits update?
Sure. Local 591 Benefits Coordinator Tony Lepore wanted to remind all members and reps, June 1st is around the corner. It's time to check your HSA, HRA, or any other related savings accounts. Make sure you've received the money from your plan for checkups and such. Make sure you arrange for those checkups to get the money in your accounts that was negotiated. If you're not sure, please get with a local 591 peer support benefits rep to help you verify. On the ASAP and compliance front, Harry and Joe wanted to send a reminder to the reps to get out on the floor. Make sure you're telling the members, read what you're signing for and only sign for the work you are assigned to accomplish and that you accomplish. This means you really need to know and understand what you're signing for accomplishment. As AMTs, our job is all about the details and making sure everything we sign for is what we accomplished. If you have any questions, double check yourself. I'm going to keep going with safety. Mike Cockram, our local 591 safety coordinator, reported that as of May 29th, 2026, in the TWU alone, in Tech Ops, we've had 712 injuries to date. That's 440 for AMTs, 155 for MLS, 73 for facilities, 38 for GSC, and 6 for utility. Mike, again, reported that the Semco prototype stand did not fit well and is being redesigned. It's probably going to be another month before we get a follow-up on that. Another issue came up was electrical rated gloves and safety procedures. The 737 has provisions that require either electrical gloves or a wooden dowel to reset GFIs. It looks like instead of getting the necessary gloves, the company is seeking from Boeing to have that requirement removed. Until that's decided, make sure that if those gloves are called out, you use them or the alternate method provided in the manual. AMT E-Board member Mark Erler reported that the SOF, smoke odor fume aerolyzer tool, is in country. The one received is in Charlotte right now, and the MTS group has been trained by the manufacturer so they can start to build the training program for these new aerolyzer tools. It was discovered that they are very sensitive, with the aerolyzer, for example, detecting skydrawl on the AMT hands who was working the aerolyzer at that point in time.
That's sensitive. All right. Thanks, Russ. So Vice President Brian Coyne did report that he's working with TWU International appointee Jason Best to ensure that all TWU Local 591 related grievances that are being handled by the association are provided to our local for closure. Jason says that because of this effort, the June GRB, that's your grievance review board, will likely be canceled in order to get caught up with the many grievances from the past few years that do need resolution. So in addition, lots of work to make sure all the grievances are properly processed and addressed in Grieve Track continues with both Vice President Brian Coyne and Executive Board member Brian Friedman.
I'm going to jump in on the arbitration for Article 19 Alpha update. At this point in time, there is no status change in that arbitration. That's the case that was presented where base AMTs are accomplishing line AMT field trip work in violation of our contract. At this point in time, the commitment is I will report to the board when the arbitration panel is contacted by the arbitrator to continue deliberations.
All right, thanks. Executive Board member Chris Horvath reported that he tracked for the week of May 29th, 23 line maintenance field trips and 20 base field trips. Chris indicated that the company is again ramping up using base AMTs to accomplish line maintenance field trips while we're waiting here for a decision. Our membership meetings, our next national membership meeting will be in the Central Region in St. Louis on Tuesday, June 2nd. As always, whenever Wi-Fi is possible, the national membership meetings are available via Zoom. Russ, you want to handle the time studies?
You mean AKA the job killers?
Absolutely.
So company management has indicated that they will be going to ORD to accomplish some in-person time studies for multiple work tasks. This is important anytime you have management coming to your station, especially for time studies and items like that. Please contact your local president, Gary Scheibel, at-large e-board member Chris Horvath, and or AMT e-board member Mark Erler right away. All of their contact information is on the website in the member section. It's critical we know this is happening before they arrive.
Yep, man. Job killer is exactly what they are. So let me give you a negotiations update. So this past week, I spent the weekend in Phoenix. I was at our IAM 142 district office, and that was with the Tech Ops group for negotiations committee preparations. So these discussions included building out the structure of the committees, including the necessary subcommittees. I will say Local 591 will be very well represented in both. I'm going to keep the names of who is participating beyond myself at this point, not public until everybody has actually been notified that they've been asked to participate. I think that would be a little awkward, somebody knowing their name. They haven't been asked yet because they're on vacation. So after they all been informed, then we'll provide everybody with those names. That said, Local 591 will have specific reps there for the AMT group, the GSC facilities group, the MLS group, MTS group, and the planner group. So plan is to open system-wide contract proposal surveys on a website very soon for any of the Tech Ops Association's members to submit their negotiations proposals or suggestions. So, Russ?
Next is, we spoke to it last week and we're going to expand on it this week, representation, coaching, and counseling. These are discussions per the contract in Article 33 and discussions with labor relations verbal in nature and must not produce any written record of the coaching and counseling. We need to remind the membership when management comes up to you and starts asking questions, that's when you need to tell them you need a union rep. Article 33 says for minor cases and in minor cases, verbally in the presence of a local union official, and the employee will be given a reasonable length of time to correct the matter. This means you have the right to demand that the company provide union representation before you are verbally coached and or counseled, and the company cannot retain any record of that verbal discussion. It's our job as your union to represent you when you're interacting with the company, especially if that interaction might eventuate in some sort of discipline.
So I am in the process of drafting a presidential grievance, really a material change to the manner in which discipline and documentation is being accomplished in violation of our collective bargaining agreement. Just on that one, it was kind of a massive operation by management. I guess it would have been Wednesday night into Thursday morning at DFW when they went after over 60 of our members. Those things are not just happen to happen. This is a planned operation by management with the letters that they were handing out, which were performance records, which had, quite frankly, a lot of dishonesty by management. Had we done the same thing that management did Wednesday night, there'd be a knee-jerk reaction to dishonesty and having us fired, because at AA, you can never be dishonest.
Exactly.
Yet management is allowed. So yeah, there will be a 33B grievance forthcoming, but everybody in this country needs to know, quite frankly, the BS that they were trying to pull the other night at DFW, because they try to pull it here and they're successful, they're going to try to pull it at your station. And if they are, we need to hear about it.
Absolutely. And the last topic on representation is really an important reminder that links up with that. It's your right to review your personnel file. There's both a paper one as well as a digital one. Please follow the process in your station and complete a thorough review of your personnel files at least once a year, and have a local 591 rep there with you when you do. For any document that you don't recognize, and also any document that does not accurately reflect what happened, please get with your local 591 rep to file a grievance to have that document removed, and also draft a rebuttal to that document. If there's any discipline letter in there that exceeds 1 year, work with your local 591 rep to ensure that document is completely removed from your files, as is required from Article 33 in the contracts.
And good advice, because you can't trust them to just not put something in your file the way this group is operating out there.
We've absolutely had reports of that specific issue happening where a piece of paper is put in a personnel file and the employee had no clue it was in there.
Yeah, and we've had conflict avoidant managers out there that don't want to actually follow 32J, so we'll just sneak it into your file and see if you catch it. So please, and if you see something, let us know. This stuff needs to be shut down and shut down for good. So we did have one question, Russ, that came in from one of our folks around the country, which was they're seeing an uptick in fleet service doing more and closer, seemingly really inspections of the aircraft. And they want to know where we're at with that, which is, I'll make it real simple. Fleet cannot be using any tools to accomplish these very general safety and security verifications. They can only be looking for very obvious issues like big leaks, big damage, flat tires, etc. They cannot be accomplishing checks or inspections because that's covered by the maintenance program, because that is our work.
Absolutely.
AMT work. All right. So major damage, a big bird strike. That thing come out right. Not that big bird. A bird strike. Hydraulic fluid, dumping on the ramp, missing panels, obvious things that could impact the safety of flight. Absolutely. Then fleet service should report the issue. First thing an AMT needs to do is ensure that the task is assigned to an AMT and LMO or AMTs. The very next step before ever looking at the aircraft is to ensure that the reported possible discrepancy is documented in the logbook, regardless of if it's electronic or paper. There's nothing wrong with starting with fleet service reported for the logbook entry. Next, make sure you communicate with the pilot. If it's a live trip, make sure they are aware that there's a discrepancy that was reported by fleet service.
That's really important.
Those are the first 3 steps. So every time to ensure that we get the proper credit and also that the possible discrepancy in our AMT work is properly documented.
Absolutely. And with that, that last step, that third step, communicating with the pilot, it's not just a feel-good thing. It's to make sure that airplane does not leave the gate with an open item. It's critical to communicate with the pilots on that.
Yeah. We have one other question, which I'll cover. So one of our reps was told by management that AMT's priority is not to do brake riding. I'll just make it simple. Your manager, he's a liar. The excuse was that there aren't enough AMTs on the bid. That is a management problem. So I was there when we walked through the movement letter that was signed by the association. We specifically talked about the phrase AMTs unavailable, which does not include bad planning or flawed bids made by the company. If we know there's going to be 10 aircraft movements on a shift on a daily basis, and also say the flight schedule, they need to plan for that with their head count. Obviously, there's always going to be a few out of service planes on a shift. They need to plan for that. You build your bid based on that type of planning, not what, whatever BS, GS planners figuring out. But
you mean BS planner?
BS planner, yes. Or AI planner, because we don't want to actually use facts and humans at this point in this company. But anyway, speaking of facts, if there are out of service aircraft that drive the need for more workers, that's what overtime is for. That's what we talked about. Not robbing AMTs from their normally assigned aircraft movements, brake riding duties, checking flights, the normal out of service. If you have a bad day, that's what that's for. That does not make AMTs unavailable. So,
right.
Anyway, let me give the usual reminder. We at Local 591 have a Facebook page, a YouTube page. So please subscribe to them and get updates and notifications when new information is posted. So that is our podcast for this week. Anything else, Russ?
No, just a reminder. We're coming into the summer season. It's getting hotter out there. Stay hydrated and stay safe.
Yep. And so anyway, as always, any thoughts, issues, or suggestions for future podcasts, please send them to info@local591.com. We hope you all have a great week and please be safe.
Take care.